Hello, fifth graders. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to your word work lesson. Yesterday we learned the idiom straighten up, which means figuratively to begin behaving properly. We also in chapter 10 read an idiom where about Mr. Watson driving straight to Alabama, and it doesn't mean to literally drive in a straight line, but to just go directly from one place to another. So I thought that was great that there was another idiom with the word straight in it. So today's idiom is hear through the grapevine. And you can also, of course, change the verb to past tense, like I heard it through the grapevine, or I heard through the grapevine. I hear through the grapevine. So here's an ear to represent hearing, literally, and a grapevine is like this, where grapes grow on these vines, but it doesn't have anything to do with grapes or the grapevine. If you hear something through the grapevine, this means to hear rumors about something. It means to hear some news from someone who heard it from someone else. To learn of something informally, usually verbally. So it's generally something you hear from someone else, someone you weren't there, so you didn't witness it yourself. You hear about a situation or some gossip or chisme from somebody else who maybe heard it from someone else or maybe was there, but it's like indirect knowledge that you get. So, in the Watsons Go to Birmingham on page 130, the text states, I guess the grapevine had gotten back to Mom and Dad that Bai was going to make a prison break tonight. Joey told the parents that Bai was planning on escaping, so they made Bai sleep in their bedroom the night before the road trip. So you might remember that from the previous chapter. And it is only because Mom and Dad heard through the grapevine, meaning they didn't hear, of course, from Bai. They heard it from Joey, who told on Bai and said he's planning to go to Bupheads, right? Because he was trying to delay the trip, because then they would have to go to Bupheads, get Byron. It would have been this whole disaster. So that was what happened. But they only knew about it because they heard it through the grapevine. They heard it from Joey. So that's what that means. If you hear something through the grapevine, it's kind of like, gossip, chisme, or something that you hear from someone else, right? So it may or may not be true, but it's usually something that people talk about. So so this part here, to learn of something informally, meaning like, people are just talking about it and you hear it. Okay, so verbally meaning when someone talks about it. Okay, we're learning the suffix us, which means having the qualities of. We learned the word wondrous, which means good or impressive in a surprising way, having the quality of wonder. Today we're learning the word nervous. During the Watson family's road trip to Alabama, the family was nervous when they stopped at the rest stop in Tennessee that was very dark and had scary looking mountains. So what does nervous mean? It means worried or frightened about something and unable to relax. So sometimes we get nervous when, let's say, we have to go to the doctor, or we are nervous when we have to present something in front of the class, or perhaps we are nervous because we're doing something that's new for the first time. So it has to do with your nerves, right? Your nerves kind of control like feelings about something. So so having the quality of being worried or frightened is what nervous means. We're working on the Latin root aud, which means to hear. We learned audio, relating to sound that is recorded or broadcasted, relating to hearing or sound. Today we have the word audible. This has aud in it again, but it's the adjective version. So audio is a noun, or it can be a noun. I guess it could be an adjective too, because we could say an audio recording. But if we talk about it like your volume, like your audio isn't working, that would be a noun. Like in Zoom, we say your audio isn't working. So I guess it could be both. And it's actually a noun or an adjective. But here is audible, the word audible. It is an adjective meaning to describe something. So this, if a sound is audible, it is loud enough for you to hear it. So It has the ability to be heard. Ibble, meaning ability to. If something is audible, you can hear it. So here's a visualization of an ear with hearing sound. Sentence: when the Watson children fell asleep on their long drive to Alabama, their breathing was just barely audible. So if people are sleeping, sometimes you can just barely hear them breathing. Maybe you can hear, maybe it's very audible if someone's very tired. We know that Joey likes to drool when she sleeps. Maybe her breathing is audible. Maybe it's barely audible. But we use this term a lot. When something is barely audible, mean you can hardly hear it. If somebody is whispering, it is barely audible, versus yelling or something that's very audible. But if something is barely audible, then you can hardly hear it. That's a pretty common way to use that. So we are learning, today we have audible, nervous, and hear through the grapevine. Good job, 5th graders.